Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be joining us from Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. We are here to get to know the Center for Leadership and Learning. And look who in the world is joining me today. Marcus Painter, Neely, Todd, Shara, all folks that participate in our virtual Canvas Leadership Institutes, a little MasteryConnect stuff. This is going to be a great session. I know Marcus has a lot planned for us today. We are usually in an audio format, so when we're together. So please, be a little bit lenient on what this looks like when you've got two guys that have faces for radio. So Marcus, tell us a little bit more about the Center for Leadership and Learning and all the things that you're ready to share with us today. I'm going to get out of the way like I normally do. If you have any questions about the Center for Leadership and Learning, please post them in the chat, in the comment section below. Whatever you're watching, wherever you're watching, we'll be happy to answer them as we go. Wherever you're from, let us know. And we can't wait to hear from Marcus and the gang here on the Center for Leadership and Learning. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Well, thanks, Eddie. Thanks for kicking it over to me. No, but honestly, we're really excited. We really wanted to take what we know that the Center for Leadership and Learning is like the secret weapon. We know that, and we want everybody to be able to start putting some of these wonderful faces and connect these faces and these great experts with the name, the Center for Leadership and Learning. So today we want to take some time to reintroduce users of Canvas and MasteryConnect to one of what we believe is the most impactful elements to an implementation or a rollout or really any professional learning that you have coming up either this summer or into the fall of the next school year. The Center for Leadership and Learning focuses on professional development directed at school and institution leadership. We facilitate events every month that serve to support curriculum directors, assistant principals, and all the key stakeholders for any sort of implementation. The virtual Canvas Leadership Institutes and MasteryConnect Leadership Institutes are amazing opportunities for leadership development and learning. Today, we have 3 of our expert consultants who also lead implementations in their schools, in their districts, and in their states. Okay, these are real life educators, people. So rather than me going on and on introducing them, I'm just going to have them kind of chime in and share a little bit about themselves. So I'll start with Shara, and then Neely, and then Todd. Give us the back of the baseball card, a little bit about yourselves.
Softball card. And I come to you from Nebraska. My name is Neely Johnson. I am a customer of Canvas. I am a Canvas enthusiast is what I get called. But I'm a math teacher turned curriculum director turned Canvas administrator. I love Canvas. It's a little weird, actually. We get a little geeky when Marcus and I start talking about things. It's a whole new level. But essentially, I am very passionate about the work we do here. It is like vital that we have leadership on board whenever we're having an implementation. So I get super excited about these institutes. I love meeting people from all over the world. We've had some fantastic attendance from all over the United States and other countries. So super excited to join with you today.
All right. Hi, I'm Neely, and I'm coming to you from South Carolina. I am an administrator here in a small district in South Carolina and have been using MasteryConnect since 2014 for our implementation and have been on board. I'm sort of a newbie on board with Center for Leadership and Learning and just excited to get everything going.
Thanks, Neely. I'm Todd Theobald. I split my time between Phoenix, Arizona and Salt Lake City. In Salt Lake, I'm a former elementary school principal where I was really specialized in turning low or highly impacted schools around. That's kind of where my passion is, and using the tools to do the work. So that's my passion is really in database decision-making and really using assessments to drive better instruction and helping students achieve at high levels.
Awesome. I have to interject here before we get into talking about some real nuts and bolts here. I've had the chance to get to know all these folks over the last couple of years, but now working directly with these folks, It's just been amazing. Shara mentioned in the Canvas Leadership Institutes, the nerddom is pegged. The nerddom is at a new level, and we just like get real giddy anytime we get to talk shop. I've been able to sit in and watch Todd present on MasteryConnect, and though I'm less familiar with MasteryConnect, it's been awesome to learn just how to leverage that tool with your district or with your school. And then Neely, I'm getting to know Neely, and we just worked together in a meeting just a couple of days ago, and my head hurt because of all of the awesome. So I'm just really excited to have everybody in one room here to kind of talk a little bit about the Center for Leadership and Learning. So I want to start with this question for Shara, and then I'll kind of get some input from everybody. But Shara, as someone who works with hundreds of new and relatively new Canvas users each month, along with your work with teachers in Nebraska, what are a few of your, and this is the tricky part, secrets to great implementation of Canvas? So what are a couple of the best things you've seen or heard or helped leadership do to ensure that great start with their Canvas implementation?
So not really secrets per se, but as with everything, we have so many initiatives. Everybody has so many initiatives going on right now. So it's really important for us to prioritize and to, we've talked about that, Marcus, about prioritizing the different tools, the different initiatives, the different things that you're doing and you're building, because it can be really overwhelming. But I always encourage people, and we talk about this, the CLL, is really start with your why. If you're wanting teachers to buy in, and let's be honest, using a tool like Canvas, it really creates that uncomfortable level. It makes people stretch. It makes them really kind of get outside of their comfort zone. And so if they're not a tech group, or if they're not somebody who really understands the logic, we really have to explain why we're doing this. So is this fitting into maybe our district vision? Is it fitting into how we do business? Is it going to maybe take other things off of our plate? What is the purpose for the actual technology? And I think if you can really communicate that and people understand why we're doing it, and it's not just something that's dropped in your lap, that's like, oh, here we go, another tech tool, because it's really so much more than that. So that would probably be my biggest one, is really, and not only like, you might know it as a leadership team, and this is what I'm finding a lot when I'm working with schools. You might be like, oh, we've already established that, but we didn't tell anybody. That does nobody any good. So you have to like not only figure that out, but you also have to make sure that you're communicating to your people. And I think that's really important. The other thing I would just say is like, so once you've established your why, and I don't want to give too much away because we go into great depth, but it's really about the how. So how are we going to do it? Like, and that goes everything from, what are going to be our Canvas agreements, or what are the things that we're going to expect from not only leadership, but from teachers and students. What are those things that we're going to kind of build and inform our training and our PD around? But how are we going to actually, launch it? And that's everything from expectations to how we will support people moving forward. So there's a lot of nuts and bolts, but I really think if you start with the why and you communicate, you get people on board, that's going to be part of it. And sometimes that's a pilot, and sometimes that's gathering a small group of users and working with that group to kind of establish that. But really, really key. So those would be a few tips. And I always say gradual release, keep it simple. Like we can't like do it all at one time. And I've learned that too. I've been using Canvas forever. And I'm now a part of the statewide consortium in Nebraska, and I go all over the state. And I'm just learning that if we can give practical, simple solutions to get people started, and then help them be informed with what their leaders are expecting, we have so much more success than just like dousing everything on them and saying, oh, all these tools are awesome. Just starting small and really starting to grow your own is really, really key too.
Great advice. Now, along those lines, so we're kind of, with Shara. Shara's our, a fellow Canvas geek. Neely, you heard her say earlier, using MasteryConnect since 2014. So Neely, along the same lines, can you share something that you think has been, exceptionally important in terms of a MasteryConnect rollout, and how you have seen great success getting started with that with your folks?
Yeah, like I said, we started in 2014 using MasteryConnect because we were really interested in making sure that we had a tool for our teachers so that they could implement assessments with their students, immediately see results, and then immediately provide intervention for those students. And so one of the important things was, of course, the training and making sure that your administrators are trained along with your teachers so that they are just as knowledgeable about the platform. We also made sure that when we went in to visit classrooms, we were pulling up those trackers. We're talking to the teachers about their data, and that we are constantly revisiting and making sure that those formative assessments are going into the platform. One of the most important things as a leader that I tell principals is to make sure you follow your teachers, so that you're the cheerleader for your teachers, so that you can praise them for what they're doing. Once teachers begin using MasteryConnect and see the power of it, it's not hard to get them to use it.
I love that, because the cheerleader thing. I don't know if you guys have gathered this about me. I'm all about that. I'm all about, it's really easy to get hyped about something you care about and something that you're passionate about. And I love the sort of that role of leader following the teacher there and following that and being able to then celebrate them. But then you also said something earlier, and I want Todd to kind of speak to this as well, as another MasteryConnect pro, that the importance of those formative assessments along the way, but it said, intervention, acting upon that data. And I think that that's something that as a person in K-12, I always felt like that's something we were lacking. Todd, can you speak a little bit about how important that cycle is?
Totally. And I think, as Shara was talking about the why, that was exactly what I would have said too. It's like, and it's not just introducing it with the why, it's really embedding that in everything you do as you go. And so like you said, these interventions, one of the things we teach in the Mastery Leadership Institute is how to, as soon as you're teaching them how to use the tool, follow that at the same time with then what do we do with the data? And so I think that's the piece that happens a lot, and I know Neely's worked with outside of her own district with hundreds or thousands of other people in introducing MasteryConnect to them. And I think sometimes we as administrators or those that do professional development, we think, okay, let's just wait until everyone's super comfortable with the tool and then we'll start doing something with it. And that's not what we believe. I'm one of the OGs in the Center for Leadership and Learning, and even before with MasteryConnect. And that's something we've really battled, because people always think I need to be super comfortable with the tool before I actually do something with it. And we say no. And we teach some strategies in the Institute of how to go right hand in hand as they're learning to use the tool, get the data out of it and start doing something with it. Because at the core of everything is not the platform. It's really about how it benefits students. So that's kind of my 2 cents worth, is really just as soon as possible, get something out of it. Even if it's not the greatest data, you can do something with it. You can gather insights. You can see trends among your team. Just do something with that data. And then it fosters that need to use the tool so you can get more of that data and then get better data and be more selective about the assessments you use. And that's where the exciting part happens for me.
Absolutely. And people that are going to be watching later on all the platforms, when you listen to these people talk about things with this passion, this is what I get to do all day. Every day I get to sit and listen to Todd talk about data, which I'll be honest, I'm not sure how I wouldn't have been like throwing a party about it before. But I'll be honest, like listening to that sort of energy, and then obviously then talking about a tool that makes all of that happen in such an efficient way, is so intuitive for users. And again, we're talking about, we've got 3 people here, and we're all kind of talking about the similar things in terms of culture, in terms of mindset, foundational skills within a platform. So along those lines, does anybody have sort of an activity, a favorite talking point that you think leaders can or should share with their staff in terms of, maybe you are a leader and maybe you kind of have a feeling that the mindset concerning Canvas isn't quite right yet. Or maybe the mindset about assessment or data study or MasteryConnect itself isn't quite where you want it to be. Is there any sort of activity or conversation that you guys have seen success with yourselves, or that you've heard from other participants in these events?
I'll hop in if people don't mind me talking again. One thing in the depth of quarantine, when we really were just like staying inside, whatever, I know I'm not alone in getting into the baking kick. You watch on Instagram people sharing recipes and stuff, and I was thinking about that a little bit, and how you visualize the outcome, you don't visualize the tool. And that's a big strategy that I've used with my teachers, is just visualizing what do we want at the end of all this, and keeping that at the forefront. So when you're baking, you're thinking about like these cookies or this cake, and you're just like, almost you can taste it and you're so excited. You're not visualizing the oven, and what a great oven you have. However, if you become super into it, you become nerdy like maybe Sharon, Marcus, and really buy the whole professional setup and stuff. But really, it's like that tool is only there to facilitate this outcome that you want, of this delicious product or something. And I think that's what really helps me in a good implementation and throughout, is to visualize what is it that we want this to do, whether it's MasteryConnect with your data, or like an assessment platform, or if it's Canvas, this whole ecosystem to provide what for your families and for your students. And really, I think Shara does an amazing job in the Canvas Leadership Institutes, really bringing that out of like, what does this do through the Fundamental 5 and all those things. If you haven't heard of those things, you can Google it, but you can also attend those sessions. They really do kind of put that visualization of what's the outcome. And I think that's where you drive great stuff. It also puts those platforms and the tools in its place, that it is only there to provide great stuff for kids and teachers and schools and everything. But the tool, it kind of sets in its place the tool and leaves at the forefront what we want it to do.
Well spoken. And the whole time I was just thinking.
I love that analogy.
And I need a treadmill after the baking. That's what I was thinking. The outcome is me running on a treadmill. Okay. So I was getting a little hungry listening to the baking talk, for sure. So I always love hearing about how Todd frames that, because it's just so great. Nobody cares about the oven. Most people don't care about the oven. Some do, but I love that analogy, and I also love what Todd, and I've heard him say it before, infusing the why throughout. And Shara talks about this as well. It's easy. I think it's easy to do the big pump up speech at the beginning of the year as a district leader or a school leader. It's easy to go into the first staff meeting and get everybody riled up and inspired and motivated, and then good luck. I think it's really difficult. It's more difficult than it sounds to have that why throughout. It really is, to have that as part of your mindset, the way Todd said, have that part of the mindset at the top all the time through everything you do. You were
so I love that. Yep.
I was just going to say, you're mentioning about activities, and I would agree with Todd. Absolutely, the outcome is so important. One of the ways that we can get to that, and I feel like in Canvas, one of my favorite things that I always tell people to do, and I do this myself, I love it when we can give people multiple perspectives. So it's great to learn Canvas as a teacher, but if you don't know what it looks and feels like a student, it's really hard for you to really have empathy or to wrap your mind around what that ecosystem looks like. So I'm always about having your staff get in as students, give them tasks to do, let them see how enjoyable and easy and how they can communicate with their teacher and how they can get immediate feedback that's personal just for them. And providing that example allows them to see, oh, this is really awesome. And guess what? I can be a student in my principal's course, and I can be a teacher all in the same place. And now we're starting to establish that ecosystem. One of my very favorite principals is our local principal, and she is amazing about everything being in Canvas. And she has a school-wide course that all of her teachers are enrolled in. And I know that every morning her teachers check Canvas because she has her schedule, she has her IEP meetings, her SAT meeting. Everybody knows that's where they go. But that's not how it started. I just remember walking into a staff meeting one day. I was leading some PD and somebody asked me for an agenda and she says, it's in Canvas. Like, it's just that student, like I'm not printing that out for you. It's in Canvas. And she just really wanted to infuse that. Like, hey, this is what we are doing. This is how we do business. This is an ecosystem. And we are using it for more than just first grade and geography, but we are using it for all things in our building. And so I love that about getting different perspectives and having them experience it from different lenses. So that's one of my favorite things. We do some activities during the Center for Leadership and Learning activity during our BCLI that just makes things so obvious. We do this thing called the Tale of Two Courses that you walk away and you're like, holy smokes, I had no idea that two learning experiences can be so vastly different just by a few things. And we talk about best practices and what does that look like moving forward. And actually, there's like too many things to mention, but it's really fun. And you do walk away just going, Todd mentioned the Fundamental 5. That's a really awesome framework to frame what you do with teachers. So there's just lots of great things that we get to discuss and we get to do with schools. So
for sure. Now Neely's up there. Now Neely's in the upper right on my screen, and she's just sitting there being real quiet. So Neely, if you could, all right. So this is a tough one. I'm coming in hot here. If you could tell district leaders one thing about leading any district level implementation, so I'll give you a second thinking implementation of anything. What's the one thing you would tell district leadership that you think would have the greatest immediate impact?
I think the one thing that I would immediately tell leaders about, number one, I would talk about getting your championship team together so that you have champions in every building. But the other thing is putting out that 48-hour challenge to all teachers. Like Todd said, the data may not be pretty. It may not be the best data, but it's important to get your feet wet early. Don't have a training and then go and wait 2 weeks before you get started. Start with that 48-hour challenge that we talk about in the MLI.
I love that. I love again, having a plan, but I've heard this point has been made by all three of you in some way, shape, or form, which is you can't wait for comfort. Todd mentioned you can't wait to get comfortable with the tool and then start thinking about doing things with the data. With Canvas is constantly changing for the better. If we wait around for the oven, if you will, if we wait around for the tool to just stop getting better so that we can learn it all and then apply, we're never going to get anywhere. So I love that all three of us in sort of different ways have kind of suggested the same thing. We've got to get that mindset to get in there, get your feet dirty a little bit, get your feet wet, and move forward and do the best with what you can at that point, because that'll help you evolve. I love the mindset there. That's something that everybody can take away. Todd, along the same lines, same kind of question, but instead of district level, what would you say at the building level?
So I think the biggest thing, and Neely hit on that, getting your championship team, I think sometimes our principals think, well, if I get my teachers totally knowing it, I don't really need to know it because I'm not going to use it as a teacher. My current role, I work at a district level mentoring principals and leadership teams. And that's my biggest one thing is principals, you have to get in there. You don't have to know it better than anybody in your building. But if you walk into a meeting and say, oh, I'm not even sure how to log in, that sets the tone right there that this must not be that important because even my principal doesn't know how to work it. And the same goes with Canvas. And Shara said, like, as the leader in the building, if everything you do models what your teacher's doing in their class, like, and everything's in Canvas, it really sets that tone. So that is the one thing that I would say is the biggest, it's the biggest win that leads to a great implementation is when the principal is willing to sit down elbow to elbow in those PLCs and pull it up. They may not know how, they may need help from the teachers in the room, but they're doing it.
Outstanding. Now, Shara, same question, but state level. You're involved in Nebraska's implementation at the state level, and so now, kind of zooming out a little bit, what's that one thing that you think would be super impactful on that level?
For us, it's been communication. We are, with the state level, we're talking like 100 and I don't even know anymore, 60 districts. I don't even know. There's a bunch. And really just a few key people that are kind of facilitating a lot of that. So it's that, it almost reminds me of that principle I was speaking about. Like, we need to make sure that we have one central point of communication, that we're all speaking the same language, that there's point people responsible. These are the things that we're going to support. These are the opportunities that exist, and it's all stemming from one space. And I'm learning that we have a lot, our statewide implementation is a little bit different because we have the Department of Ed and a couple of other entities that are all coming together to make it work. And just finding that we need to streamline communication to make sure that we're communicating so that everybody's on the same page all the time. And we do that in a lot of different ways, but just like streamlining that communication. It's a bigger beast when you're outside of your district or outside of your school building.
Yeah, and it's, again, something that's taken for granted, but so powerful when it's done well. So really, really good stuff. Now, if you're a Canvas or MasteryConnect user, you know that the platforms are constantly improving, like I mentioned. There are a couple of really exciting things happening for Instructure and for the Center for Leadership and Learning. The first is this, we're working on it right now, the Virtual Assessment Leadership Institute. And so assessment can be kind of a polarizing topic. Everywhere you go, there are questions. What kind of assessment's the most important? How do we prioritize the ways we assess students? Who's going to design those assessments? Who decides how and when we assess students? Testing windows every week, every quarter, when, how? What are the most proven methods that lead to authentic success? Lots of questions. And so the VALI, the Assessment Leadership Institute, we're building it as we speak, and its design is to confront those types of questions. Assessment in general. Folks like Todd, folks like Neely are professionals and experts at implementing programs so that data can be impactful and can have true change with your building, with your district. Not everybody has that knowledge base. That's, not every educator has that. There may not be enough classes to get your master's or your doctorate to be able to do that effectively. And so the Assessment Leadership Institute is something that's on the horizon that we're really excited about because it's going to look at those types of questions and provide not necessarily answers for every school leader or district leader, but it's going to certainly help guide those folks to get closer to the answers that work for their instance and their district and situation.
Well, and Marcus, can I jump in there too?
Absolutely.
For those that are listening that think they know everything about assessments, which there are a lot of people out there that do know a ton about assessments, in addition to the best practices that you talked about, it also shows all of the options that are available within MasteryConnect. I think for somebody like me, I feel like I'm pretty well versed in assessment, but to watch, leaders go through this and be exposed to so many new ways, not necessarily new ways that are crazy, but just different options within the tool. That's the part that's really exciting. So if you're out there thinking, I already know assessment, this isn't for me, I want you to know that yes, in addition to answering those questions of what is best practice in the area of assessment, this is also going to show you, it's kind of going to blow MasteryConnect wide open of look at all the other options and tools that are available to get the right data that you need to do the work that you're trying to do in your buildings.
Absolutely. The second thing that we're really excited about is related to Canvas. And you Canvas folks out there, Canvas is implementing a Canvas for Elementary instance that can play within your Canvas solution and your district. So basically, you'll be able to turn on a completely new aesthetic, a completely new functionality of Canvas that is directed and designed specifically for those younger learners. And the Canvas nerds are rejoicing everywhere. Those that have heard about it, those have seen it on Twitter, Facebook, the Facebook group, the Canvas for Elementary Facebook group, they're all stoked about this. So it basically allows districts to provide that elementary-minded learning experience for pre-K through 5th grade. Again, the Center for Leadership and Learning is directly involved in helping district leadership learn how to best leverage that as an option within their districts and within their elementary schools. So 2 really great things on the horizon for the Center for Leadership and Learning, and of course in structure. Overall, these are really exciting times in education, and we are honored, and I am especially because I get to work with them every single day. We're honored to have these educational thought leaders, Shara Johnson, Todd Theobald, Neely Bowden, and the rest of the Center for Leadership and Learning team here to help. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you very soon. I guess this is the point where Eddie comes back and ruins it.
Right on cue.
What am I ruining? Come on, Marcus. You know that.
No, there you are, you handsome devil, you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Also, before we go, probably want to promote the free help that Canvas and Instructure has just decided to give everyone. I see Shara and Todd shaking their hand. Neely, tell us a little bit, as far as Panda Pros go, what kind of impact is that going to make on your districts for this free help? And I will put the comment down below, but I do want to get your input a little bit on that brand new program that we just launched last week.
Well, I'll speak really quick. So it is just you can sign up for a quick one-on-one appointment, 25 minutes with an expert. Allows you to communicate if you have questions, if there's something you don't understand, you don't get, you want to go deeper. You have an expert at your fingertips for 25 minutes. So my Nebraska peeps, if you hear me, grab that link. I mean, I'm available too, but grab that link because you can have your own one-on-one appointment with a Canvas Pro. And it is fun. It is fun to connect with other people and hear other ideas and get their insight too. So yeah.
I was going to say what's great about that is it's for people that are struggling with the basics or for people that really have questions deep in the platform that they want.
Right.
I mean, these are people that can really answer anything, and that's what's cool. It's not just your, frequently asked questions. It's really somebody that can one-on-one guide you with what you need help with, and it's free.
Free. Hey, and you know what? I was going to say one other thing because we were talking about today Canvas and we were talking about MasteryConnect, and I felt like we were talking about them in silos, but I do just want to make sure that everybody who's on this call does know they work together. Like, they can work together in one platform, one ecosystem. So I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes when you're talking about 2 different software systems, we just want to make sure everyone is aware that they play nice. So that's all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Marcus, thanks for hosting today. Fantastic job. He will now be doing the live streams from here on out. So I appreciate that. We'll have more sessions with the Center for Leadership and Learning coming up. I know we've got more sessions coming up later this month, so keep checking all the social platforms, all the places that we're at to learn more about the Center for Leadership and Learning and all the great content coming your way by the end of the month. That does it for us. We will be back again shortly. Keep checking on those live streams. Thanks, everybody, for joining.